lights were on, but it was dark. Men in bow ties lined up at the door. The room was for rich men. I thought I'd never been there before. The room was a secret, but we all knew what it was for the rich men of my town, like a Milton Kishinev. It's just you and the Holy One, and a silver box. If you got an extra penny, you drop it in the box. If you need to feed your family, take whatever you need from the money room. No one can ever know if they're a taker with a plight. No one can ever know if they're a giver in the night. 'Cause on the outside, yeah, they're all the same, with their smile cigars and those picture frames and their fancy cars like a Milton Kishinev. Oh, yes, on the outside, yeah, they're all the same, with their smile cigars and those picture frames and the fancy cars like a Milton Kishinev. When I traveled back to my town to see the room and just to know for sure, there's a line of suits and bow ties and an old man sitting at the door. The old man was laughing, telling men from near and far, the money rules the world we live in, only you know who you are. It's just you and the Holy One, and a silver box. If you got an extra penny, drop it in the box. But if you need to feed your family, take whatever you need from the money room. No one can ever know if you're a taker with a plight. No one can ever know if you're a giver in the night. 'Cause on the outside, yeah, we're all the same, with our smile cigars and our picture frames and our fancy cars like a Milton Kishinev. Oh, on the outside, yeah, we're all the same, with our smile cigars and our picture frames and our fancy cars like a Milton Kishinev. In the money room, in the money room, in the money room, living in the money room.
Welcome and thank you for attending the 23rd annual Ruchama FREIDEL Lecture for Tomchei Shabbos Toronto. My name is Akiva Balter, and it is an honor and privilege to be hosting this program for the third year exclusively on the GZL Gamzum L'Torah platform. Note, this program is under 60 minutes in length, is being recorded, and best experienced on a computer or tablet. Although we encourage to keep your cameras on tonight, please be aware of your surroundings and appearance. Utilize the chat function to send messages of support and appreciation to Ruchama's parents, who are a driving force of Tomchei Shabbos Toronto, Bubu and Esti Zlotnik. The program tonight will commence with Rabbi Rebbe Shlita, followed by our MC Tzadi Zlotnik, and then the highlight Divrei Torah from the Tolner Rebbe Shlita, and finally a tribute to the volunteers and supporters of Tomchei Toronto. Due to time constraints, portions were pre-recorded. Here is Rabbi Rebbe Shlita, Rav of Agudas Yisrael of Toronto.
It's a real honor to be able to be part of this big gathering that we have, the yearly gathering, Leil Nishmas, Ruchama FREIDEL Baz Shol Yehuda Aleh Sholem, Ruchama Zlotnik. And it's unbelievable the chizuk that we get remembering Ruchama. And one of the things I always remember when Ruchama wasn't well, and the whole city, thousands of people came to be with the family, to be with her, and all kind of tefillos were said, pidyon nefesh and everything. And when she passed away, the whole city was moved. It's brought down in Masechtas Kala that when Rebbe Akiva's daughter passed away, and thousands of people came, so Rebbe Akiva said that time that look at the schus of my daughter, and because of her, thousands of people came to do a mitzvah. Everything. We live in this world to get Olam Haba. And it's unbelievable the schus that Ruchama had. First, when she was alive, the nachas she gave to her parents, the nachas she gave to anyone who saw her. I remember I used to meet her many times in camp and in shul, and always when she called up to speak. And she was a Faginigan to speak to, someone who really you enjoyed being with her. But since she passed away from this world, the parents, Bubu and his wife, so Yehuda and his wife, Esti, used the nesoin that Hashem gave them to galvanize the world with Torah and Chesed. The world stands on three things: Torah, and Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. And we know that's what we have in these three parshias that we have. And Yisro is Torah, the Torah, and before that, B'Shalach is the Shira, the Avodah, and Mishpatim, the parsha we're learning, and it's Gemilas Chasadim. That these are the three things that keep up the world, and the biggest thing you could do for a neshama, and that's why the meaning is by Levaya, and the same thing when you go to the caver. There's two things you do. You say Tillim, and you also give tzedakah. Tzedakah helps the most for the neshama. Chesed that you do helps the most for the neshama. That's why we give tikkun by yard side. That's why you give kiddush. Because chesed that you do for another person, the neshama goes higher and higher every time any chesed is done for her and for the neshama. It says in the Sparshim, Kesef Talu Asami, Hasani Imach. So Mefarshim say, Talb is a lotion of Levaya. You come, Levaya. And Kesef, money, is Telaba Asami. Those people who Ami will leave this world, what takes them higher is the tzedakah you give. The more tzedakah you give, the more the neshama gets higher. So Ani Imach, the Ani means someone can't do mitzvahs anymore. Anytime anyone does a mitzvah. So just like parents, Buba and Esti took care of Ruchama when she was living, they're really taking care of her. And the Shamas every year and every day and every second, the relief fund, the Ruchama FREIDEL relief fund, and all the tzedakah and chesed that's done helps in the Shama. And the other part is Tilim. Tilim is two things: it's Tefillah and Torah. David Melech was davened that Tilim should be just like learning. Tilim is also the Tefillah. Tefillah, the two things that help in the Shama the most is Tilim and tzedakah. So coming together today is Torah. We're going to have the Tolner Rebbe Shlita to speak, and Tilim is the Tefillah and Torah, and tzedakah. That's the purpose of all the gathering, is to help for Tomchei Shabbos, to help everything that the family does, everything that's being done to help other people, the chesed, and that helps the most in the Shana. So we'll start with some Tilim. First we'll say Tilim Kuf Chaf Aleph. Shir Lamalois Esain Alarim Me'ayin Yovay Ezri Mem Adonai Oy say Shemayim V'aretz. Everyone can say with me. Al Yitein Lamoid Raglecha Al Yonum Shemrecha Hinei Lo Yonum V'lo Yishan Shomer Yisrael Adonai Shemrecha Adonai Tzilcha Al Yad Yaminecha Yoimam HaShemesh Lo Yakecha V'yoreach V'loilam Adonai Yishmach Mikol Ra Yishmoy Es Nafshecha Adonai Yishmatzescha V'yacha V'yata V'yadoilam. And that's what the end of this kapitel. Hashem should guard a person Tzescha when you leave this world, when you come to Olam Emes, Me'atav Adoilam, should always guard. The Chamas and the Shama should always be shining. Kapitel Kuf Lamed. Shir Amalois, Imam Hakim, Grasicha Adonai, Adonai Shema B'Koili, Yenaz Necha Kashuva, Is L'Koil Dachanunai, Mavoina Is Tishmaya, Adonai Miyamai, Ki Imcha Aslicha, Leman Tivorei, Kvisi Adonai Kivsa Nafshi, V'dvara Yoicholti, Nafshi Ladinoi Nishoimrim Laboiker, Shoimrim Laboiker, Yachel Yisrael Al Adonai, Kim Adonai Chesed, V'had Ve'imai V'dozvu, Yivdes Yisrael, Nikol Adonai. So we should have in mind now for all those need shuas or foods all over the world, especially the Bansham should be Shomer Eretz Yisrael from all those Sainim that try, and every day all the terrorists and all those the anti-Semites all over the world who try to deny Klal Yisrael what belongs to them. And we say Yachenu Kavei Yisrael, they have in mind all the three different types of Yeshuas that we need. And it says, Yitzim Yisrael Levacha, those who are in trouble should go out of the trouble and come. Levacha should come away wide. And Mafela, those who are dark should come to lightness. Meshubet, and those who are Meshubet, Lugula, should come to be redeemed. So there's are three types of Golus in the heart. There's Golus in the people on Tzoros. So we happen to any place Klal Yisrael is in Tzoros, they should get out of the Tzoros, and the Revacha, they should get open and wide from away from the Tzoros. Sometimes it's Afela, darkness. People don't know what Yiddishkeit is all about. And the Golus of Afela, the Golus of darkness, La'oira, Hashem should help them see the light. Meshibud, and sometimes there's Golus where people are Meshubit to all kind of things in the world, the Gula to be redeemed from all those things. So Achenu Kavei Yisrael, Hanitzunim Batzori B'Shivya, Oim Dim Bein Bayom Bein B'Yabosha, Hamokim Mirachem Aleim, Yitzim Mitzori L'Revacha, Mapele L'Oira, Meshibit L'Gula, Hashav HaGola B'Zman Korib B'Noima, Amen.
Welcome to the 23rd Tomchei Shabbos annual lecture. I saw a story about the previous Satmar Rebbe, Rav Yoel Teitelbaum Zatzal. He had a beautiful minhag in his Beis Medrash. After Shachris, every Sunday morning, the Rebbe would select 3 men and assign them the special mitzvah of approaching all the people in shul to ask them for tzedakah. In addition, he requested that these 3 men spend the entire week raising money for poor people. At the end of the week, the men would bring the money that they collected to the Rebbe, who in return would distribute to individuals and to needy families. One Sunday morning, the Rebbe approached his chassid, Rav Yisrael Zupnik, and asked him to be one of the men to collect tzedakah money that week. Rav Yisrael was mortified. He was a wealthy man who had always given much tzedakah, and he felt embarrassed for asking others for money. Even though he knew that it was not for himself, he just couldn't see himself doing this particular mitzvah that the Rebbe was asking for. Rav Yisrael thought of a plan. He approached the Rebbe and said, "Rebbe, please forgive me. You know I would do anything that you ask of me, but I just can't go around asking people for money. Please tell me how much money is collected each week, and I'll happily write a check for that amount." The Rebbe answered, "Rav Yisrael, I appreciate your wonderful offer, but I would still ask that you go around collecting tzedakah this week." "Rebbe," Rav Yisrael persisted, "I am more than happy to simply write a check for even more than the amount that is generally collected." The Rebbe smiled and said, "I knew when I asked you that this mitzvah would not be something easy for you to do. I'm insisting that you go around, and I'll tell you why. After you spend this week collecting tzedakah, the next time a poor person comes to you to ask you for help, you will look at him differently. It'll be easier for you to feel his pain and to understand how difficult it is for him to approach people for money." That day, Rav Yisrael gained a new awareness. The Rebbe didn't just want his personal money, but rather he wanted to teach him a lifelong lesson in sensitivity towards the person asking for tzedakah. It's more than just giving money that counts. It's how you make the recipient feel. I feel like this is the theme of Tomchei Shabbos. We don't just provide for those in need, but we are sensitive to each and every family. This lecture is in memory of Ruchama. I know that she impacted probably anyone who she ever met. She wasn't looking for a grand chesed or a huge favor to another, but sometimes it was just a simple smile or gesture towards a friend to make them feel good. She was able to sense when a friend was feeling down and could use some extra words of encouragement. This came from that same trait of doing chesed, but performing it in a sensitive manner. This evening is also dedicated in memory of Chana Malka Weissman. I never met her or knew her, but I was told that she was an extremely selfless person, always looking to help others and lend a helping hand. Tomchei Shabbos provides food for needy families on a weekly basis. Many families have special food requests, and we try our utmost to fulfill each family's specific needs. Our goal is to cause stability in the home, making sure that there's food in the cupboards and that they don't go hungry. Who knows, it could be the person that sits next to you in shul is receiving Tomchei packages. Not everyone is so fortunate, but our job is to be sensitive to everyone's needs. Tomchei currently has around 200 recipients, 64 routes, and about 100 active weekly volunteers packing and delivering on a weekly basis. There's an affiliated organization started years ago by Tomchei, now run by Danny Berkowitz, Benzin Zlotnick, and Chevy Zlotnick. In affiliation with our schools, shoes, boots, and clothing are provided for children who cannot afford it. We can only meet our budget through your generous support and donations. I would just like to conclude with a few thank yous. First off, Yomi Zlotnick and Shlomi Goldreich for all of the endless work you do behind the scenes. Benzin Zlotnick for your administrative work behind the scenes, always organizing and planning new initiatives to improve Tomchei. A big thank you to Morty Bobrowski for monitoring the communication lines to answer questions from over 200 recipients, being on call to deal with the issues and handling them in a professional manner. Thank you to Isaac Kaplan for arranging all the packing every week and all the small things you do around Tomchei, caring and making sure all the packing is done in a timely manner. Thank you to Arya Weinberger for being on top of our drivers, making sure all the deliveries arrive on time, the technical work that you do, doing all your work with a lot of enthusiasm and dedication. Dina Friedberg for putting the labels on each and every week, Baruch Weiss, and Shmuel Aaron Harari, thank you for making the boxes. And of course, we can't forget Gloria. Without you, Tomchei simply wouldn't be able to do the amazing work it does. We appreciate all your time and tireless effort and all the work that you do. Akiva Balter, thank you very much for making sure tonight's lecture happens with all of the technical and all of the Zoom work that you do. Dini Weiberg for assisting behind the scenes and making all the necessary phone calls. Donna Becker, Olav Shalom, of course, who always helped Tomchei in the past with all the phone calls. Shana Kipper for designing the emails. And a big thank you to Michael Mann for all the printed materials and graphics, including the invitations and flyers since the beginning of the lectures. Thank you very much. Lastly, I would like to thank all of our dedicated volunteers who persevere through every circumstance, packing and delivering on a weekly basis. Without the volunteer team, Tomchei simply wouldn't function. Thank you for all of your devotion. Of course, a really big thank you to all of our donors and our keynote speaker, the Tolner Rebbe Shlita. As it's well known, the Rebbe has devoted his life to Noitza Ba'olam Chaveri, carrying a burden of a fellow Yid. No matter if the one seeking help is wearing a shtreimel, a kippah, sruga, a black hat, or simply not wearing a kippah at all, the Rebbe will give up his time and effort to do whatever it takes to help. As well, the Rebbe is a master in chinuch. Even to a small child, the Rebbe is sensitive and there to help. We thank the Rebbe for giving up his busy schedule, and it's our privilege to hear words of chizuk from the Rebbe. Thank you, and enjoy the evening.
I'm saying hello to my cousin, Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda Hanikre Bubu, very famous in Toronto, Canada, and places that he's, Baruch Hashem, doing a lot of Maaseh Chesed and Tzedakos. And I have the zchus to be a part of a moshav that you are sitting together in such an opportunity in the yurtzeit of his daughter Ruchama. That was something so special. And the Rebbe Shlita has his cheshbonos, so the best ilui neshama is to sit and to speak in divrei Torah. I want to speak about something that can be very actual for many, many people in many ways. So we will start with a pasuk in Tehillim. This is the first perek in Tehillim. David HaMelech is starting his Tehillim with his Ashrei. So the starting of Tehillim, as everyone knows, Ashrei o ish asher lo yholach b'atzas rashoim, uvderech hatoim lo yomad, u'moshav leitzim lo yoshav. This is the first pasuk. Then comes the second pasuk. Ki im betoras Hashem cheftzoi, uvesoirosoi yehege yoimom v'loilo. So looking in this pasuk base, we see that Toras Hashem, this is the Reisha from the pasuk. The Torah is called Toras Hashem. Then the Hemshech is Toras Hashem Cheftzoi Uvesoirosoi Yehege Yoimam V'loilo, in his own Torah. So it starts with Toras Hashem and it continues with Toirosoi. So the Gemara in Masechta Avodah Zorah and Daf Yutes Amud Aleph says that when someone is starting to learn, the Torah is not his Torah, the Torah is Ribbono Shel Olam's Torah. But after he is learning, b'toirosoi yehege yoimam v'loilo, when he is learning with big asmode, which kide, it gets to be toirosoi. The Toras Hashem is getting to be his own Torah. This is what the Gemara says. And this Gemara in Masechta Avodah Zorah Daf Yutes, there is a maamar from Rav HaKodesh Rebbe Rabbeinu Mepshistre. He was a famous Rebbe in Poland. He was the Rebbe of the Kotzker Rebbe, of the Ger Rebbe, the Alexander Rebbe. This was the Cheder Pshistre. Pshistre was a Talmud from the Yehudi HaKodesh. And Yehudi HaKodesh was a Talmud of the Chozeh Lublin. Chozeh Lublin was the Talmud of Rabbi Melech Milizhensk. That was a Talmud of the Rebbe was rich, so this was the part of the Chassidus that was in Poland very famous. So he said something, what he said is for us the subject of this lesson. He says that many times we have psukim in the Torah that they belong to someone, and people are forgetting to whom belongs this pasuk. For an example, we have people that are borrowing money, they need the money, and they are borrowing the money. So when someone is borrowing money, he is the loive, and the someone that gave him the money, he is the malve. Now we have psukim that the Rebbe Shlita is talking to the loive. We have psukim, the pasuk is talking to the malve. We have a pasuk that says, Lo isi Eloi kenoishe, im kesef talves am yesoni imoch, Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. This is a pasuk that is talking to the malve. You borrowed money, now comes the time he needs to give you back the money. No doubt about it that you need the money, and you deserve, he should bring you back the money, of course. Please, Bal Chov Mitzvah. But Lo isi Eloi kenoishe, don't stand on him, and don't threaten him, don't frighten him. Just wait until he will have the money to bring you back. So the Malvin needs to remember that Lo isi Eloi kenoishe, don't be tough. Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. The Loive has a pasuk. Pasuk is a pasuk in Ksuvim. Lo isi Eloi kenoishe is to the Malvin. And the loive has a pasuk, loive rosho velo yeshalem. A loive that is taking money, he's borrowing money, he's not paying back. He's a rosho. Rosho is a very, very hard word. And the Novi says it, loive rosho velo yeshalem. V'tzadik choinen v'noisen. Now, we have two people, we have two psukim. We have someone that is a malve, and someone that is a loive, two people. Every one of them has a pasuk. The malve needs to remember the pasuk, Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. Don't be heavy on this loive. Just be patiently. The loive has a pasuk. His pasuk is loive rosho velo yeshalem. If you're not paying, you are a rosho. Now what happens is that the malve is remembering the pasuk of the loive. And the loive is remembering the pasuk of the malve. So the malve would go in the street and he will meet the loive and he will say, you don't know that the pasuk says loive rosho velo yeshalem? It is a pasuk. But this pasuk is talked to the loive, not to the malve. The malve has his pasuk. Pasuk of the malve is Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. So the problem is starting when the loive is remembering the pasuk of the malve, and he says to himself, the malve has a pasuk Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. He's not allowed to be tough with me, so I will wait with paying. It's not right. You loive, you need to remember your pasuk. Your pasuk is loive rosho velo yeshalem. It's a hard pasuk. It's a very straight pasuk, and it talks to you. So do everything in the world to pay, not to be a rosho. The malve needs to remember his pasuk. His pasuk is Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. You are not allowed to be there tough with this loive. Wait. There are eitzes what to do, but to go to the loive and to scream on him is a loises min haTorah, Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. So says the Rebbe Rabbunim, B'toirosoi yehege yoimim v'loiloi. Take your pasuk. Don't use the pasuk that someone else needs to use. Your pasuk, the malve, is Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. His pasuk is Loive rosho velo yeshalem. If everyone will remember his own Torah, his own pasuk, would be the best. The loive would be frightened from the pasuk Loive rosho velo yeshalem. The malve will be careful with his pasuk Lo isi Eloi kenoishe. V'hakol yovo el mikoimo b'sholom. Torah soy, your posuk. Starts the problem when people do not remember this rule, and everyone remembers someone else's posuk. This is the mamer from the Rebbe Rabbinim from Pshisre. And this would be the topic of our shmuz. How do we do things that are bringing us to the Torah soy yehege yom v'loilo, our Torah, everyone with his posuk. Yaakov Avinu is blessing Yisachar with Zvulun, those two brothers. Yisachar is sitting and learning, and Zvulun is supporting Yisachar. So the posuk is talking to Zvulun. Zvulun, Yamim Yishkoin, and he is supporting. And Yisachar is doing his duty. Yisachar Chamor Gorem, Roivetz ben HaMishposayim, ויאמנו כיתוי וסאורץ כינועמו ויצ'יך מליסבויל ויהי למס עובד. So many times that we know people that are making an agreement, Yisachar and Zvulun. The Zvulun is there to be the supporter, giving every month or every week for Yisachar his salary. He should sit and learn. He should have Yeshuv Adas, Menuchas HaNefesh. He's getting money from Zvulun. So Yisachar's duty is to sit and to learn. Zvulun's duty is to be a supporter. Now comes the problem. The problem from B'Torah so yehege. Zvulun is going around with Yisachar's posuk. And he's seeing Yisachar going to the store, being in a place, he's meeting him in the bank. So Zvulun that knows that he is supporting Yisachar, he's going to Yisachar and he says to Yisachar, Yisachar, you don't remember your pasuk? You have a pasuk, Yisachar Chamor Gorem, Roivetz ben HaMishposayim. Why are you here in the bank? Why are you here in the post? Why are you in the grocery? Go long. Zvulun is remembering Yisachar's pasuk. Yisachar is meeting Zvulun. Yisachar says to Zvulun, your pasuk is that you are giving support for Yisachar. And you are as taking your share, you're sharing with me the schar halimud, but you need to remember your pasuk. What is your pasuk? Smach Zvulun b'tzeisecho, v'Yisachar ba'olecho. You need to be b'tzeisecho. Go, handle, make business, and do your part in the agreement. Your part is to support me, not to be my mashgiach, not to be my Rosh Yeshiva. So it may be that Zvulun is very correct with his critic that he has on Yisachar, but he needs to remember Torah, his pasuk. Yisachar is, of course, Metzuve ve'oimed, to be very careful about his pasuk. And his pasuk says, Chamor Gorem Roivetz ben HaMishposayim. Vahi lemas oved, you need to learn and to learn and to learn and not to stop learning. So here we have another example to this mamer of the Rebbe Rabbinim from Pshisre. He's not saying it, but just to take his idea and to borrow it for our parsha. Yisachar's pasuk needs to be befi Yisachar. Zvulun's pasuk needs to be befi Zvulun. And this is the way how the agreement is going. But if we are going in a way that everyone remembers someone else's pasuk, so it can be a big, big argument, and it won't come to the right purpose that Rebbe Shlita wants. Yisachar u'Zvulun. This is something that we are as comparing to this memory of B'Torah Yehege Yom V'Loilo from the Malve and the Loive. Malve has a pasuk, Loive has a pasuk. Everyone needs to take care on his own pasuk, how he's doing it the best that can be. We can go ahead and say another idea that is in the same line, but it's deeper. So, until now we talked about two people that everyone has his pasuk. Now I want to come to a pasuk that we are talking about one person with his own pasuk, but it is a very, very big nafkamine. What means the pasuk? And this is something that I had a zchus to hear from the big Agoin Agodel Rosh Yeshiva Smir Reb Chaim Shmulevitz when I was young, and I went to the Mir to hear a shiur. He said a shiur in Masechta Gittin, and he came from this Masechta to say in the shiur Kloli in Yeshiva Smir a very big, huge yesod. And he built this huge yesod from a pasuk. Parshas Vayechi, we are listening to those psukim that Yaakov Avinu is calling Yosef, and he is begging him that when it will come his time, he wants to be buried in Me'oras HaMachpelah. And Yaakov Avinu is telling a story to Yosef HaTzadik. Once upon a time, when your mother died, this was the Rebbe's Roch, Yosef's mother. She died in the middle of the way. Vo'ekboreho shom bederech Efros hi beis lochem. Yaakov Avinu is saying to Yosef, you should know that I buried your mother in the middle of the way where we have today the Cave Rochel, the famous place. And it is not in Me'oras HaMachpelah, in the place where all the family is buried. In this Me'oras HaMachpelah, Shom Kovarti, Avrom is there with Sor, Yitzchok is there with Rivko, and Yaakov is there with Leah, but without Rochel, even though Rochel was Ikor Shel Bais. So Rashi is bringing Divrei Chazal on this posuk. Yaakov Avinu said to Yosef, you should know that I buried your mother in the middle of the way. Now, you can ask why. It wasn't raining. It was a very, very nice night. It wasn't far. It was very close. It was very close to the town Bethlehem. Also, Hebron is not so far as we know today. So it was close, and it wasn't raining. Why did I bury your mother in the middle of the way? This was because I heard a bascoil. I heard that from upstairs, Rebbe Shlita is whispering to me, and he says, you need to put your Rebbetzin to Kvura here, because when the children will come to a time that it would be a very hard golus, they will go through this place, and the mother Rochel will pray for her children. She will pray for her children. Koil boromo nishma, nehi bechi tamrurim, Rochel mevako al boneo, me'ano li'inochem. The Rebbe Shlita says, Mini koilech mi bechi, ve'inayech min dimo. You don't need to cry. Yesocho lepuulosech, ve'shovu me'eretz oiv. It will come a good time, they will come back. So this was the emes reason why I buried her in the middle of the way. This is Rashi, as he's bringing Medrash Chazal. Everyone knows about it. Comes Reb Chaim and asks a question. I remember how he asked it. It was so strong. He said, why does Yaakov Avinu making himself hard? He said to Yosef, maybe you will think it was raining. No, it wasn't raining. Maybe you will think it was far. No, it was close. So why did I do it? Because Rebbe Shlita told me. Ask Reb Chaim, why does he need to say it wasn't raining and it wasn't far? If Yosef HaTzadik thinks that it was raining and it was far, he's also good, so he's not suspicious. He believes in his father that he made the best for his loved Rebbetzin, and that's it. But he's adding words. He's saying it wasn't raining, it wasn't far. Why does it need it? To what was it needed to make those questions? So Reb Chaim said, and I remember how strong it was. It left a very big impression on everyone and of me, of course. He said like this, To hear a baskoil is something that you cannot be sure 100% if it's a baskoil, because people are listening to what they love to hear. As he said it on Jewish, Menschen hören, was sie haben lieb zu hören. People are listening to things that they love to hear. So if we can imagine Yaakov Avinu in the middle of the way in a strange place, it's raining, bad rain, and it's far from every place, and he has here someone that passed away. So it's very easy to imagine that a baskol is coming from upstairs and says, you need to bury her here, on the spot. If he is in such a situation that it serves his own will, he can have imagination about a baskoil. He can think that there was a baskoil, and maybe not. So Yaakov Avinu says to Yosef, you need to know that it wasn't raining, and it wasn't far, and it was very simple for me to go ahead to a town and to bury her in Moras HaMachpelah. If I made it, it's because I was sure that I heard a baskoil that I need to bury her here. So we are talking now about a chidush in this Toirosoi. It's not a Torah that is for someone else. Toirosoi means I should be clear that Rebbeinu Shalom is talking to me and not that I am imagining. So the Toirosoi has a chidush, not the other one's posuk. And also my posuk should be clear that Rebbeinu Shalom is talking to me. So in a rainy day and in a far place, when someone thinks that he has a baskoil, he needs to be suspicious about it. Maybe not, maybe yeah, because he has an own interest. When you have your own interest, it can be so strong that it can bring you to listen to things that are lo hoyu v'lo nivru, but you hear it. Why? Because you want to hear it. So he brought this idea to explain a Gemara in Masechta Gittin. He was saying a shiur in Masechta Gittin. Masechta Gittin Daf Nun Hey, the Gemara is telling a story about a heilige Amoire that his name was Rav Ilish. And the Gemara says that Rav Ilish was taken by someone to a place as a prisoner. As it was once upon a time, people used to take other people and to ask for money for them. So he was a prisoner, and one night he thought that he's listening to a voice from upstairs that says, Ilish brach. He's getting something from upstairs. Rebbeinu Shalom says, Ilish brach, run away. Now is a good time to run away. So the Gemara says that suddenly they heard a bird that was talking above Rav Ilish. And Rav Ilish heard as the bird is saying the same words, Ilish brach. So the Gemara says that someone else was there. Some a person that was there in this place. And the Gemara says that Rav Ilish asked this person, what is she saying, the bird? And this person said, the bird says Ilish brach. So then Rav Ilish understood that it's emes. He took his feet, he ran away, and he saved his life. So Reb Chaim Shmulevitz asked, if Rav Ilish, heard alone from upstairs, why did he need to ask the other guy what says the bird? He heard it alone. Here comes Reb Chaim with his Yisoid. A prisoner is suddenly listening to a bird that says, run away. It can be its imagination. He's a prisoner, he's in a big danger, they want to kill him. Suddenly a bird comes and says, maybe it's not right. This was why Rav Elish asked the other person that didn't have no interest. And he asked him, what says the bird? And he said, the bird says, Elish brach. Then Rav Elish was sure that it is right. And the shiur was so sweet, Mosek Midvash, how it was matching this inyan of Yaakov Avinu in Parshas Vaychi. So we hear that even in this Betoy Rosoi, times that our own interest is pushing in, and we are listening to things that are not said. One is about Yisachar and Zvulun. Everyone should remember his own posuk. The other is about the own posuk that is talking to the person, but you need to be sure that it is talking and it's not your imagination. Don't mix your own interest in the Torah that you are learning. Many times we are learning and we think that this piece of the Gemara, of the Chumash that we are learning is just talking to me about my situation. It can be so, but it mustn't. It is good to take an eitzah from someone else, utshu berov yoyetz. So you're asking, you're questioning, you're going to your Rov, then you can be sure about such signs. It is a lesson to life. Lesson to life is this Yesod, as Reb Chaim screamed in his Jewish, Litvish Jewish, a Mensch hört, was will hören. We are listening to things that we want to. We have an interest. And we want to be sure enough about what we are listening. We need to try to be there in the emes point and to know for sure that this is the Tachlis HaMechuvn. What does it mean? Many people would explain things according to what they have their interest. There are people that are even too hard with themselves. There are people that they will translate things that are happening with them as something that means something as bad, something that means to criticize. So someone has a sign, he says, the Rebbe Shlita is not happy with me because something happened. So this is a sign that Rebbe Shlita is not happy with what am I doing. It mustn't be so. We are not so high to explain to ourselves what are those signs. And many times that people are stopping to do good things, or they are doing bad things, and they are believing that this is what they needed to do because they are finding rayas from this situation or this story or something that happened, someone said something, and it is loy hoyo, veloy nivro, veloy osid liyos, as Chazal say a few times, loy dubim, veloy yar. It's not right. We need to be there without no interest, and then if we are asking, and we are be'emes, be'rotzain emes, to know what is Rotzain Hashem, we can reach it. So this is the idea that I wanted to give over, and I'm finishing my speech with what Chazal said, Al tihi birkas hediyot kalo be'einecho. You should accept every blessing from everyone, even though he's not such a very, very important person. So I'm calling myself Hediyot, I may, and I say for my cousin, Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda, the Lechtiger Yisrael Yehuda, and his family, and in this situation, go ahead with your good things that you are doing. Be there for people, smile and do chasodim with people. And no doubt about being paying back from Yodo Yameleo, Apsucho, Akdosho, V'Rechovo. You should have in Yirtzeh Hashem Rov Nachas from your children, from your Einiklech. You should have in Yirtzeh Hashem a lot of Hatzloche between the community, between your friends. Ve'ach Tov, B'soros Toivos, Yeshuas, V'Nechomos.
Bereshis bara Elohim, when Hashem made sea and land, He gave to us three precious things upon which our world stands. The first one is the Torah, Hashem's wisdom from above. The second is Avodah, to pray to Him with love. And the third one is Chesed, a kind act or deed, going out of your way to help someone in need. Olam Chesed Yiboneh, Hashem built the world for this virtue so fine. Olam Chesed Yiboneh, Hashem wants His children to always act kind. It's not that hard to truly give and help a fellow Jew. If someone is less fortunate, you'll know just what to do. Pretend that crying voice was yours, the pain your very own. Then stand up and do what's right, so no one's left alone. And the third one is Chesed, a kind act or deed, going out of your way to help someone in need. Olam Chesed Yiboneh, Hashem built the world for this virtue so fine. Olam Chesed Yiboneh, Hashem wants His children to always act kind. So help your parents or your friends, deep inside you know you can. It surely will light up their day when you lend a helping hand. And what you do will change the world for you as well as them. Become a Baal Chesed now, a little bit like Hashem.
And the third one is Chesed, a kind act or deed, going out of your way to help someone in need.
Olam Chesed Yiboneh,
Hashem built the world for this virtue so far.
Olam Chesed Yiboneh,
Hashem wants His children to always act kind.
Darkest times on a pitch black night, he rode a horse of the purest white. He knocked on the door, got a prisoner free. In his hand a bag of money. What shall I do when the money runs dry? Here's a prayer that could pierce the sky. What shall I do when the gold runs dry? Here's a prayer that could pierce the sky. When wild dogs they surrounded me, These three words, they set me free. When you got no strength and you're crying please, lost in the forest, can't find the trees. Here's what you do when the money runs dry. Here's a prayer that could pierce the sky. Here's what you do when the gold runs dry. Here's a prayer that could pierce the sky. Elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni. Rabbi Meir Balanes, Rabbi Meir Balanes, Rabbi Meir Balanes, Elikodem Rabbi Meir Balanes, aneni. So here's what you do when the money runs dry. There's a prayer that could pierce the sky. Here's what you do when the gold runs dry. Sing the song, give it a try. Speak it, sing it, shout it thrice. These three words can pierce the sky. Speak it, sing it, shout it thrice. These three words can pierce the sky. Elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, elikodeme yiraneni, aneni, aneni. Rabbi Meir Balanes, Rabbi Meir Balanes, Rabbi Meir Balanes, Elikodem Rabbi Meir Balanes, aneni, Elikodem Rabbi Meir Balanes, aneni, Elikodem